Hello people and welcome to another NEPodcast. With me today is Fellon from Snupster. You're probably more talented analyst than I am. Somehow you don't have a show.
I do not have a show. I have lots and lots of work.
Like I do mention you sometimes on the show, and people probably think you're some kind of an existence that isn't real. But here you are.
I'm just a figment of your imagination.
And I linked your Dark Man. That's a game. Darkman.
It is a game. It's actually pretty hard.
Oh Jesus! I meant Darkwing Duck runs.
So now we're gonna have to do an episode of Darkman.
Oh, now you put we into it. Next time it's just gonna be you.
Yeah.
This channel would probably have like 20k subs if it was just you. But let's not mention that. You're busy. I do record like 8 episodes in one day, and then I don't have to do anything for 3 weeks.
Except edit, sit in front of the computer, go, put this audio here, put this video here. Oh, wait, the Nico sign's just off by a couple pixels. Let's fix that. Oh, no, it broke the whole thing.
You know how many times I say something that I look back on when I edit, and I'm like, I shouldn't say that, and then I take it out. It's like 80% of the footage I take.
You know how many people like do live recordings and they're talking and they make it, and they just like cut all around, and you're like, you know, if you listen to it without the video, sounds normal. Mm-hmm. Like, they're perfect, and they never make a mistake. But then when you watch the videos, you see all the cuts in the video.
Yeah, some people cut all the silent parts out. It's like talking for 5 minutes straight without any pauses. You can't even think about it.
Yeah. Even if the silence is like, a second long. It's like one big continuous sentence without a break, no pauses, no nothing. You can't take a breath. Let's keep talking. Blah blah blah.
That means just the viewer can't process what you're saying. Now I know you often disagree with my opinions, but there's also a lot of what we agree on. So in some way you could bring a lot of different opinions to the table. And we could probably easily make evaluations, but our time zones are like the complete opposite.
It's because you're like 180 degrees from my position on the planet.
It's not my fault.
I really wanted to do the AI thing, where I would go through each Robot Master and describe how their AI works.
And point where I made mistakes.
Well, it's mostly has to do with the fact that when a lot of people make their fan games and they use the original Robot Masters and they're trying to duplicate it, they duplicate it on what they see, what they feel it does, but not how it actually works. Like if they were to get into the code and understand better what the robot, like Mega Man 4 is a perfect example. The whole slot machine type AI where it's based on the 3 distances you are from the Roadmaster, Roadman being a perfect example.
Yes.
It does take some of the magic out of it, but it sort of eliminates a lot of that, the whole thing is almost like random. It's just like a slot machine going ding, and then it just goes far, near, far, or close, and it just chooses the action based on that. I liked I guess in a sense, like if you look at Concrete Man or even Stone Man to a point, like they change their behavior based on your distance or whether you're not.
Hello? UDP packets can be sent to and received from the server, switching back to UDP mode. What does that mean? Well, I live in the woods.
I was saying that Concrete Man and, to an extent, Stone Man are examples of Robot Masters where your actions have an influence on how they behave. It's not just like, you could be, sitting in the sideline or up in space or something like that, and they'll just keep doing whatever random things they do.
Most people don't have time to go check the code, so such like myself, I just go in and see what I think it does. And I guess the Snupster races have helped. Because you do them over and over again and you'll see what they do.
You start seeing patterns. And I like the fact that you can sometimes manipulate the AI to do whatever you want it to do. you know.
Yeah, a lot of Mega Man 7 has that kind of thing, even with the enemies. It works kind of differently somehow.
Yeah. I mean, I liked Mega Man 10's sort of no repeating the pattern more than 2 times in a row, so you could sort of predict or, in a way, influence the next set of patterns. I'm just thinking of other examples of Rope Masters that have that sort of behavior.
Like Jewel Man jumps when you fire. No, when you jump.
Nope. Remember,
Jesus.
If you watch my video, it's not the actual jumping. It's the jump animation. So as any time that you were in an animation, like for example, at the end of my video, you'll see that I jumped on Rush Jet, and he didn't jump until I fell off Rush Jet. So it's the act of falling off Rush Jet that actually caused him to jump.
Oh, okay, that's interesting because you can tie that to either pressing the jump button or just having the animation go off.
Yeah. But I mean, if you were to faithfully recreate it and you didn't know that, then when somebody else came along and, used Rush Jet and fell off Rush Jet and he didn't jump, you're like, oh, this doesn't even work the same way as it did in the original game, right? Because, again, somebody just merely copied it how it looked and missed the small, subtle details.
Well, this is a great example then.
Yeah.
Like if you do this every other day, pretty much like myself, then I don't have time to check all that. I just make rush decisions on what I think it does.
Well, a lot of people can't pick through the code and actually look at the routines that are used to compile the Robot Master AI.
But you've done your own like game genie codes and stuff, so you could probably, like at least on the NES games, you could see how they actually work. And you've done some of that, I think.
Well, I did the Bomb Man thing where I injected code into the game to create basically a self-detonating trigger.
Injected mustard into your head and just did it.
Yeah, so there is a way. I mean, Mega Man 1, for example, has some pretty good AI, but it's also bugged AI. Like Mega Man 2 obviously has, the well-known Quick Man clipping into the wall bug.
Yes.
Cutman has an awkward bug where you would think he would just jump on Mega Man's exact position, but he actually doesn't. He actually jumps one pixel inside your model, which means that if you were stuck against the wall and he was jumping against you, he would actually slowly overtake you.
Oh.
Like there's small subtle things that nobody would know. And the other quirk with Cutman is that if he hits you, then he'll immediately go into a throw cutter like a cutter attack, which tends to, I don't know, it's one of those things that I would have to showcase to describe. But basically, Cutman's AI is not clean. It's not perfect. It has flaws, and I mean, at which point do you go?
The knockback. It would be a lot more interesting.
Well, he did try it without the knockback, and he was really hard.
Yeah, that's why it's interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, if he didn't have the knockback, like I said before, I think the knockback was implemented on him and Electman just because they're like, they're too hard. Let's put a knockback on them, to make them behave like Mega Man when he gets hit, and they made them easier in that regard. Cutman was way hard. Yeah, and Cutman is way too easy with it, so. Which is funny, too, because if you take the knockback away from Electman, he's actually the easier of the two.
Yeah, because then he just repeats the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
You just have to see it.
But it's interesting with Electman because they use Copy Robot, and they're using the exact same AI for both of them. And then you have some terrible boss designs, such as CWU01P. Which
I don't know how to even improve that. How the hell do you fix that? Make the bubble smaller or something?
No, you just set it. You could make it so you can either jump over them, or you make it so that the positions they come out of are predetermined, so you actually know where they come out of and can be in the right position at the right time. I mean, you should always be punished for a mistake. Like, you shouldn't be hand-holding the player. If a player makes a mistake, you need to punish them. Make them take damage or whatnot. But you have to make the punishment equal to the mistake value in terms of what happened. Like, for example, perfect example, hard man. You can just sit there right from the beginning. Full health him, full health you. Just keep shooting him. Every time he slams down, just move out of the way. Turn around, just keep hitting him. His hard knuckles do not do enough damage. So if that's all you did, just keep hitting him, dodge the slam, hit him, dodge the slam, you will out-tank him. That's poor boss design, because that means that you all you have to do is dodge one thing. But at the same time, his hard knuckles are poorly designed in the sense that
they go off screen and don't come back.
There's that, but that's, I'm not sure how to classify that. But it's also the fact if you try to fight him legitimately, like try to dodge the hard knuckles, they're really hard to dodge consistently.
Yeah, if you actually try, yes.
If you try not to scroll them off screen and try to fight him in the proper orientation, like in the middle of the room and stuff like that, he's really difficult. But again, they don't do enough damage, so you can just out-tank him. That's an example of poor boss design. If all you have to do is just sit there and think of it kind of like the last boss in Zelda 2, where you just have to duck in a corner and keep swinging, and more than 50% of the time you're just going to kill him. Again, that's just bad boss design.
You think they never tried that? Like maybe they never just noticed that they didn't try to do that when they developed.
Well, that one obviously is an oversight. But I mean, there should always be a give and there should always be a take. The problem ones are the ones like, for example, Chillman, where you make a mistake and then you just get you get
you get pummeled.
You get completely thrashed for the one mistake. Oh, you missed the chill bike. Okay, now he's going to hit you, and then he's going to hit you again, then he's going to hit you again. And you're now... Exactly. You're busy trying to get away from it just to reset, And it's just like one mistake leads into another mistake, which isn't even your mistake. It's because you made the first mistake that changed into the second.
He can just instantly fire at you when you jump over him, so that's one of the mistakes.
Yeah. I'm not sure what causes that, if it's a timing error or if it doesn't behave the way we think it does.
And the developers just were assholes. That's it.
That's it, more than likely. Yeah, developers are like, yeah, players. You bleep that out, right?
So, what do you think about lives then? People argue a lot nowadays about infinite lives and not having infinite lives. I think the younger generation tends to think that infinite lives is better. That's
the problem. What's the point of going through a stage if all you have to do is just get past that one? I mean, don't get me wrong. There are cases where poor design on the developer's part is the reason why people favor infinite lives.
What about Super Meat Boy?
That is intentionally designed that way.
Yes.
It's a troll. It's a game of trolling, right? Subvert expectations and just see how players react to doing the unexpected.
Interestingly enough, we just played Bakio here with Zargon and beat it in 2 days. I think it took us 3 hours or something. And if that wasn't infinite lives, that would be ridiculous. That's an insane game.
Yeah, that game is really, really hard. I remember beating it for the first time when I was very, very young. And I'm like, God, that felt satisfying to actually beat it. But oh my God, did I have to go through that much torture to get to the end?
I think Sargon broke something on the last boss. It's still going on. Fuck.
Yeah, one of the dick moves in that game is letting you select the ice planet without actually having the ability to beat the ice planet.
Yes.
Because you need Blinky. And that is like a troll move right there.
Yeah, it's like making a Mega Man level select, and then there's bosses you can't even get to without certain things. Like Mega Man 1 with the Magnet Beam, but it's kind of...
Well, it's like having Dr. Wily Stage 1 be selectable, and you get to the end wall, and you're like, how do I get past this? Oh, no, you got to go back and get one of 2 optional weapons, which are mandatory weapons. Yeah, I mean, that shouldn't be possible.
So I don't understand the infinite life argument. If you get to a boss, then you'll beat it eventually because you have infinite lives. You have nothing to lose. Like there's no fear of losing. Everybody wins.
Well, that's the trick with having the right balance of difficulty, right? If it's way too difficult, and the stage, like Quickman's a perfect example. Like when you did the perfect runs, you go through the stage, you'd be like, "Oh, the stage is so easy," but I hate getting to the end after like 2 minutes, having Quickman do the short hop boomerang right in the face and having to restart the whole run again.
But that was a
right?
challenge run with no missing and no damage.
Yes, but my point is, that might be what that is to us. Is something as simple as, I don't know, a stroll through Flashman stage without the rules.
So I think the best bet here would be to have the option to have unlimited lives if you want. You can enable that, but by default, take them out.
Well, you can have the difficulty select at the beginning. Have it like easy mode where it's infinite lives, not just this whole, here, let me put helpful platforms along the way. Let me have the enemies do less damage. No, just like something simple like infinite lives for easy mode. Or, I don't know, like, don't make, highlight, I don't know what else you could do to make it easy mode. But, there's baby mode, and then there's easy mode, and then there's normal mode. And everyone seems to cater towards the baby mode when they create an easy mode.
I don't like difficulty like options because it's always like I feel like I'm missing something, like easy, normal, hard. Like which should I pick? So I just usually pick normal, and then like with Mega Man 10, I found out later that hey, these Robot Masters have different moves on hard mode. Like what?
Yep. Well, they do on Mega Man. Yeah, Mega Man 10. They didn't have it on Mega Man 9.
No, but I think that's a dick move. I just missed some of the game by not selecting hard.
Well, the funny thing too, when you talk about Mega Man 10, it's a perfect example of what was it, Nitro Man? Yeah, Nitro Man. Where for our Perfect Run series, it was the hard mode that was actually easier than the normal mode because of the Osetsu.
Yes, the yellow shield enemy that has the light on top of his head. That was one insane move to be able to do that, like no missing. You had to fire 7 times in the air?
You needed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shots in total. So you had 1 shot coming down, and then jump up, get 2 more shots, and then get back to the ground quick enough, and then 2 more shots while he's literally in your player model.
That is probably one of the hardest things I did after a quick man. That's insane.
Yep, it's right up there with the ballad shot, the missile.
I didn't even do that.
No, you didn't. Like that shot. I mean, it's just 1 shot versus 5 shots. So I'd still say the Nitro Man thing is ridiculous. But it's those kind of things that shouldn't be put into a standard run.
No.
The whole the idea about Mega Man from the original series all the way to the end is that the weapons that you get from the Masters may or may not help you in another stage, right? They're not mandatory, they're not needed, but they are helpful. And as the games progressed, the weapons kind of got more useless, and they just became used for the Rope Masters as weaknesses. Like, the weapons should have, that's, I think, where Mega Man 9 really excelled. Like, the Tornado Hold, Not Tornado Hold, that's Mega Man base. But you get the point, is that they'd had a secondary function. It gave you extra height, so it allowed you to jump higher. Concrete shot turned enemies into platforms, right? It had more than just it does the X more damage on the target or whatever, right? The piercing tridents were great against spear enemies that had shields. Sorry, shield enemies that had shields. You'll take that out, right?
Yes.
But that's my point, is like after what game really started this whole train of I think Mega Man 6 was a perfect example where all the weapons pretty much just did damage.
Yes, and a lot of them make the Buster sound. They just didn't think about that at all.
Yeah, I mean, what was the first game that really did away with any utility in their weapons? I mean, you had Mega Man 1 with the Guts blocks. The Elect Beam could sometimes blast them away. You had Ice Beam that would sometimes freeze enemies.
It might be like Mega Man 5 with the Super Arrow, even.
Yeah, it might be Mega Man 5. Like, man, once they started doing that, that really took away the I want to kill the Robot Master for their weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention, like, Mega Man 6 with the killing... what was it? Windman? Sorry, the names got really bad after a while. Bad Gas Man. So, I mean, like, he doesn't even use this little, tornado you fire across the ground. Like, he uses those propeller blades. And I'm thinking, like, that would have been a good attack to have, the twin fan blade attack.
Yeah, that's not even wind. He's just creating wind.
Yeah.
It's not even like Wind Man. It's just some sort of an air propeller man.
Yeah. And that's sort of the thing. Like, if you go to Mega Man 1, let's go through the 6 Robot Masters real quick. You have the cutter that pretty much behaves like the cutter that Cutman uses. You have the Guts blocks, which don't exactly behave the same way Gutsman uses it, but once you collected a Guts block, they work the same. You have bombs, which are pretty straightforward. Then you have the Elect Beam, which is a little bit better when you're using it because it's got the up and down, the horizontal beams. And then you have Fireman's weapon, which is a better version than even the one Fireman uses, in the sense that it's got the fire shield. The Ice Slasher is exactly the same, except for you don't get frozen by it, so I guess it's an improvement.
Imagine if Iceman first froze you and then shot you. That would have been badass.
Yeah, well, he already takes 3 hits to kill you, so, I mean, at that point, it's like, he freezes you and then he shatters you. It's like pretty much the same thing.
Shoots you with a shotgun after. Just a normal shotgun. I think Mega Man 1 did a better job with the weapons than 2. Like, in Mega Man 2, you rarely use the weapons on the stages.
I mean, they had utility in the sense that Bubble Man's weapon could go along the ground and find those hidden passages.
It's just an accident.
Well, it's kind of like the Castlevania, what was it, the Holy Water.
Yeah.
Right? It's same principle, right? So I'm okay with that because it was used for more than just it does damage.
But it was used like once in one single section.
It did kind of, with the crash bomb being the only, like you wanted to hold on to your crash bombs, it consumed so much ammo and you didn't want to use it on regular trash because you were saving them for those walls.
And if you didn't know, well, fuck you.
Yeah. So, I mean, the game should incentivize you to use the weapons, but not punish you if you use them incorrectly, I guess.
Yes.
So, that's the appeal with the whole genre as a whole. I mean, other games just have you go through the stages and you slowly, get harder and harder and harder, and then you get to the end like Ninja Gaiden and finally beat it. But there's nothing that you get from stage 1 to stage 2 to stage 3 to stage 4.
No. I think Mega Man 4 was pretty much the first game that had all of the weapons being useful, like, everywhere. Like, they did a really good job with that.
Yeah, I mean, you want to use the Bright Stopper pretty much everywhere. I mean, the Skull Barrier could have been better.
Yeah.
Pharaoh Shot had its definite uses. Ring Boomerang was the piercing weapon, which could get through shields. Like, it definitely had even the Brain Flesh. I mean, despite the fact that it cost so much, everything had a use. Yeah, everything had a use. Like, you could imagine going through the game with just that weapon.
Mm-hmm. And which we've probably done by now. We probably used every weapon on Snupster.
I think so, yeah. I mean, can't think of a weapon we haven't done a weapon-only challenge of. But there's definitely weapons that are god-awful terrible. Hyper Bomb only, default weapon without the improved code, yeah.
Why did they do that? Like, first you fire it off and dunk, dunk, dunk. 5 seconds later.
I don't know what the thinking was. I mean, I borrowed the idea of the remote detonator from Drill Bomb because that's essentially it functions the same way.
Hyper Bomb would have been a good weapon against Drill Man. You bomb out the floor or something.
There you go.
Well, Mega Man 3 we don't talk about apparently. That was your first game, and you thought
that was, and it's still one of my favorites because of the fact that it's the game that got me into Mega Man.
I remember you saying something like you didn't know what the game was about, and you thought you were selecting like your own character when you were selecting the boss you were gonna fight.
Yeah, well, I was what was my thinking? Like at the time, I was playing a game called Wrestle, where you had like the character select, and when you selected the character, you were that character, and you would go up against somebody on controller 2, and they would be the character they select, and you would just have like special moves, almost like a Street Fighter of sorts, right? You select your character. Yes. And that was when I first got the character select screen on Mega Man 3. That's what I thought. You were selecting your character. I'm like, oh, I want to be Hardman, this big, tough, takes no damage from anything type robot master. But then I just started the stage and I beamed down and then this blue shit. And I'm like, what the F is this?
And then you suddenly realize I have to fight that motherfucker.
Well, actually, the funny thing is, because that was the first stage I ever did, I got to the part where you had to use Rush Coil, and I was stuck. Because I didn't know how to switch, I didn't know to go through the weapon menu or anything like that. Like that, I'll admit it right here, Mega Man 4 and onward definitely made really good use of the weapons menu. But yes. Mega Man 2 and 3, with the next button, terrible jobs. Terrible.
In Tactics, last time we played, I was kind of making fun of the fact that you can't press right to go to the right side of the weapons. You have to keep pressing down and up to move on the menu. And then Tom said you can actually press the B button to swap the page on the weapons menu. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either until he told me.
Yeah, that's fucking weird. But the menu is just garbage. It's no matter how much you laugh at me and me using the menu, it's just bad.
No, and Mega Man 2's wasn't any better because you're like, oh, which option? And how many times have we used E-Tanks by accident? It's like, okay, switch. I just use all my E-Tanks!
Well, to be fair, it happens in Mega Man 4 as well, but not as easily.
No, it's not as easy. I mean, if they made it like, where you'd have to hit another button, like you press start, and then you hit select, and it brings up your E-Tanks, like just a quick, thing.
It's kind of because like the cursor is blinking on Mega Man like 2, then you don't really see what you're on. Then you just press the button and you accidentally use it.
Yeah. The other nice thing, I believe, was it Mega Man... I think it was Mega Man 4 that implemented the icons for each weapon.
Yes.
Instead of the letters. I mean, they still had the letters, but they had it in addition to the icons, and that was also a really good improvement that they made. And they stuck with that since Mega Man 4, because Mega Man 5, 6, all the games almost used the same weapon menu style.
Because it worked. But for some reason they used 2 of the names differently than the others. Like I think if it was called Trill Bomb, they had a D bomb, and the other weapon was called Trill B, so they didn't really know which way they want to spell it.
That's probably a translation thing, because it originates in a different country.
But that was a big what the fuck moment when I first got Mega Man 4 and I played it through. I was like 4 or 5, and then I got Mega Man 1 after that, and I was like, the hell is this? This is worse, because I didn't really understand like the meaning of numbers. So I didn't know that was the first Mega Man game.
I think Rome Mithril was explaining how when he started playing Mega Man for the first time, he actually got switched to the Firestorm. And he got stuck in it, and he's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he just kept going through until he died. And he's like, I don't know what that was, but that was so cool. I want to do it again. And then later finding out, there's a weapon select menu. I mean, it's weird because nowadays you have games that are like, you just got a new weapon. Open up your menu. Press this. Go here. I'm like, don't make me sit through this tutorial. If I've gone through this a second or third or fourth time, now I have to go through this tutorial every single time. Like, I don't know how to improve upon the whole help menu that a lot of games now have, where they have to guide you through everything.
Don't make games so fucking complicated that you need it. It's like Mighty Number 9. It explains how to go left and right, it explains how to jump, but it doesn't explain what the fuck the dashing into enemies, like... What does it mean? It doesn't explain.
Yeah, it also doesn't explain that it's a terrible game. I mean, it's not a god awful terrible like get me out of this game type game.
No, but it's pretty bad.
But it's also not like cleanly polished. Like they tried to do too much with the game, And they should, like, it's always simple concepts, complicated, how should you put it?
Well, they overcomplicated the idea because they didn't want to make it like too similar to Mega Man. So they're like, let's have you dash into the enemies. But then they didn't explain it at all, and then you have to go and read a book on the fucking menu to understand what's going on.
Yeah. I think I want to use an example here is, because obviously you know I play World of Warcraft. World of Warcraft is a perfect example of where they make your players' rotation, as they call them, complicated. So you have to use this ability, then followed up by this ability, and they make the rotation so complicated. Even though all the boss is doing is just like, I don't know, walking towards you, but in order to do the boss fight right, you have to master your own rotation. Where really they should be doing it such that your rotation is simple, but the boss patterns are complicated. Right? Because it should be, the difficulty should not be in your controlling the character. The complication should be in what the boss presents to you, the actual challenge the game is presenting to you, not your ability to play the game.
Yeah, it should be easy to control, but hard to actually master.
Hard to master, yeah. It's sort of like everyone's complaining about how Mega Man games are so hard because it's all trial and error and trial and error and trial and error. No, I mean, yes, in a sense, it's like falling down a pit and you're like, oh shit, there's spikes right, right? That kind of stuff I will agree with. Like,
artificial difficulty. That's why I made the video about it. Like, is it artificial difficulty or just trial and error?
Yeah, it's what was it, Mega Man 5 that introduced where you fall down one of the Wily levels and there's just spikes on one side and there's no way to know there's spikes there. And then the other side is the path you choose. So you're basically given a fork in the road. You don't know which one you do to take, and you take one, you're like, oh, fuck, 50% chance, and I got it wrong!
Well, even in Mega Man 4, like, the revisit level, you drop right on a shield attacker if you don't know, like, where you're dropping.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's that kind of BS that does, I think, accentuate a lot of people's feelings about the game.
Yeah, they tried it with, like, Ringmaster Stage. They had that little spot where the spikes were on the floor, but they had that little platform that goes away. So they tried to add some, like, hectic gameplay into it, but then it gave you a chance.
Well, I mean, in Mega Man 2, the roller coaster section, I guess you can call it, you'd always land onto a safety platform, and then you could see the pattern and everything, and then you chose when to start it and when to finish it. Even the one section where you go down the ladder and there's the telly right at the bottom that's slowly coming up, it is so far away that it gave you time to quickly look at what was happening, go back up, go back down, and reset the screen. Like, it didn't punish you. Go, you have to complete this on your first try. Here you go, and you're dead.
Well, some people just start mashing buttons at that point and die to spikes and say, oh, it's too hard, I give up, fuck this.
But that kind of stuff that's the punishment on the player.
Yeah, but they don't realize it. They just blame it on the game.
Yeah, and they'll blame it on the game. And I think that goes back to the whole, holding your hands and, infinite lives and stuff like that.
Yeah, a lot of people said, like, rock and roll, the new fan game, is too hard and it's too, like, cruel. But once you actually, like, play slowly and look what you're doing, it's, like, not that hard. I mean, sure, there's hard parts in it, and the Robot Masters deal a lot of damage, like in Mega Man 4, but it's still, once you just stop and look at what's going on, then you have a better chance.
That's actually the funny thing that you mentioned rock and roll, because I thought it was a really, really good game, personally, in my opinion. And doing the perfect runs through the perfect run no miss through the stages, there was no 9s or 10s, like, in terms of difficulty. There was no 5 out of 5s, because it was, I guess, with some help from you, a lot of help from Tom and all the other beta testers that are actual fans of the Mega Man series. They're like, no, don't do this. This is one of those things, like we were describing about spikes down a 50-50 chance of getting it wrong type deal. Right? So a lot of that stuff was properly tested. I mean, if anything was probably really hard, it would probably be the Bell boss from Ghostman's stage. Or Ghost Women's. And I mean, that's probably the only real difficulty.
I mean, we tested one of the wild stages and had one of those, what you call them, the fires that come down, tackle fires. That section was so difficult that everyone game overed on it. Like every tester game overed on that part pretty much. And we were like, you can't do this.
Oh, yeah, that's the stage. It's after the first 2, and then you get another fork.
Like nobody made through it at first, and it was redesigned after that. There was like a vertical wall and shit. It was like impossible.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always impressed by parts of the stages that look intimidating, but are not really that hard, as long as you take it carefully, or at least go at it at a reasonable rate.
That reminds me of Castlevania 4, actually, to cut you off right there. The room that spins with the platforms, those don't actually drop. If you stop, they don't drop. So it's only when you move forward they drop down. So it's just to make you feel like you have to rush.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm okay with that kind of stuff. I'm also a fan of, what was his name? The one with the laser. It was a laser. It was a laser man.
Reactor Man.
Reactor Man. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that stage was fun too. Like, it was designed with speedrunning. It had almost everything placed where it needed to be placed. The only problem I had with that stage is I think it was the second screen after you go down. There's that one cannon for some reason. It's just the timing is not quite right. But other than that, the rest of the stage was smooth. Even the boss was pretty, what's the word I'm looking for?
Well, he was portrayed as a fast robot master, like one that doesn't give you time, but once you actually just look at it, there's plenty of time to react.
There is, yeah. And I think Megaphil said that he went through his stages over and over again, and he just kept, trying to refine the timing, make sure that it was, that it had flow. That's right, that he had a good flow.
Yes.
And that really is important. Like, when you come up to a game and you have a stage like Tengu Man from Mega Man 8, and you're going through, and all of a sudden you come across this section, and the screen scrolls, and all of a sudden Rush comes out, and you jump on it, and it just slows right down.
Yeah.
And you're just
like, Jesus Christ.
Right? Like that break in consistency can sometimes, there's a balance to it. Like, if you do it, what's I'm trying to think of a stage that forced you to slow down, but it only had you stop for like a couple seconds, and then you can carry forward and then stop. I think the perfect example I can think of is Nitro Man from Mega Man 10, where you had the trucks and you had to wait and then go and then wait and then go and then wait and then go. And that is very thematic for the actual stage, which is why that works so well.
An example that doesn't work so well is Rainbow Man from Unlimited. Jesus Christ, I still don't feel that was a shit job. Jesus. It's just, you never know if you have to go fast or stop. It's just, you learn by dying on every screen. Whereas Reactor Man, you had time to sit down and look at it. That's the difference.
I mean, if you had a way to reset the screens, because if you come down on Rainbow Man's stage and you saw the pattern and you're like, oh shit, how do I do this? But you may get locked into a situation where you're like, now you see it, but the only way to try it again is to die. Yeah,
if you added a few ladders, but then that would just be adding fucking bubble gum on top of the problem then.
Possibly, yeah.
You're just trying to fix your own mistakes by adding ladders to it. Then it's just a bad stage.
I mean, he does have the part in Nitro Man's stage, the Nitroglycerin Man, so...
Yeah.
What was it? Tri-Nitro Man. Yes. So there's that one part where you scroll the screen to the right, and then you got those two platforms you jump on that go up, and then you have the secret side passage to the right, and then you got the ladder up.
Yep.
And you could scroll back left and then scroll back right. I mean, that had to be done that way because if you blew away the patterns, you would have no choice but to die because you could not get through that section. Yeah. So you had to have the fact that you can go back and forth and reset it. Stone Man's stage had a similar thing too, the problem with that one is that how many times did we scroll to the right and you go, oh shit, there's an enemy right there, and immediately scroll back left and then scroll back right.
Yeah, they'll tell you things coming at you.
Yeah, and that's poor design, right? Like they
the
should
whole
probably not.
Stage is bad.
Well, it's long too.
It's long and it just keeps going on the same way, never changes.
Yep.
Just the same 3 enemies over and over again.
So I think that's where Mega Man Rock and Roll actually excelled, is because if you look at his early design and then what it eventually became, it sort of kept the momentum. Like, what was the Missile Man? Yeah, Missile Man. That stage is one of those stages where just, the action keeps going forward. There's no, how should I put it, like there's always action going on. Especially the really great beginning of the stage where you have those rockets coming at you, and if you keep moving forward, like if you move too fast and you're just like going at it and you're running and you're don't care about what's in front of you and you rushing, like if you shoot those things, you'll run into the explosion, which is punishing you for gunning it, because that's a habit that we get into, right?
Yeah, it's called Mega Man, not Board Man.
Well, I mean, how many times do you go through a stage like Heat Man stage and you just keep layering the shots on you, like, filling up the screen full of shots, and then enemies are dying before they even get remotely get close to you? Like, all you do is just run and shoot man, run and shoot man, run and shoot man. So what he did is he did the perfect thing. He subverted expectation such that you got out of a habit that really is just a bad habit to have.
Yeah, rushing anything is bad. That's what Mega Man told us.
Yeah.
Take your time. You have a lot of easy times for you if you just look around. I don't know why people rush the games. I don't get it. Like, why do people think that it's a game where you have to, like, go full speed at all times? Why is that the expectation?
Do you want to play Snail Man stage? So, I'm very impressed with what a lot of fans can do for the Mega Man series, and I'm a little disappointed that some of these great designers are not hired by Capcom, or that Capcom has almost essentially given up on the franchise as a whole.
Yeah, I don't think they really care anymore. If you look at Mega Man 11, it's an okay game, but the end game is like, okay, let's just give up now. 1 stage is enough. Or 2.
Oh, yeah, with the Wily stages, yeah.
Yeah, and then really, just having the Yellow Devil back, like, come on.
I don't know, that was definitely a nostalgia hit for that. I mean, it's the first time that you've seen Mega Man in that style.
I'll silently disagree.
Well, we don't count Mega Man X6, or not X6, X7 or X8 or whatever those abominations were. The idea was to bring Mega Man back in a light that people were expecting, but keeping the old style, the old side-scrolling action.
Yeah. Some of the stages are really good, like really fucking good.
Yeah, but some stages where you have to shoot those roadblock, the
gates,
barricades. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a running joke on this channel now. Like with the Mega Man Maker levels, people just use the gates. I've never seen a single one good use for them. You can't.
Yeah. I keep thinking what they should do if they continue to Mega Man 12 is the whole storyline concept that, Dr. Wily has now, got the speed gear where you can make things slow, make things fast. It sort of does lead to the potential to where you could do sort of a mashup of Dr. Wily is now, through his gear system, made a time machine and is actually able to go back to Mega Man 2 seems to be the best example. And now you have to go back in time and stop Dr. Wily from influencing himself in the past to kill Mega Man by introducing the gear system to a young Mega Man that's not familiar with it.
So we just gave a free idea to Capcom. Great.
Imagine Mega Man 2 sort of like a remix of sorts, but instead when you get to the Robot Masters, they've been given the gear system from future Dr. Wily. Right? And but I mean, you'd have to change the later levels too, right? Because now you got 2 Dr. Wilys in the same timeline.
Queen's gonna come back, right?
Oh,
right?
Fuck, yeah. No. Abort. Abandon ship.
He has his pogo ready.
The fucking Sakuguard.
I love that thing. Mega Man kills himself.
I don't know where that abomination came from. I still, like, to this day, the sound chip thing, and like me opening up the cartridge, and I'm like, God, is this thing broken?
Oh yeah, that's a funny thing. You were like, what, 4 years old, and you opened the fucking cartridge because you thought the music was...
I was probably like 7 or 8. I can't remember, but still.
You opened the cartridge when you were fucking 7?
Yeah.
Because you thought something was wrong with the cartridge because the music was bad.
The friggin' it was tearing my ears apart. It was horrible.
What did you expect to find by opening the fucking cartridge? Oh, that's the music chip. Let me take it out.
No. I was expecting like there was like some dirt or corrosion or something like inside it, and if I cleaned it, it'd make everything better. But no, that was never the case. The game was actually designed like pushed out the door, because that game was the first game that was developed by another party that never designed any other Mega Man games.
Yes.
Right? Like, NT Designs, or NT Creates did Mega Man 9 and 10.
Mm-hmm. Well, they did a pretty good job.
They did a really good job. Some people will disagree that Mega Man 10 was even a good game, but I still think it was well done.
And a lot of people think that Unlimited and Rock'n'Roll are awful games.
Unlimited is a terrible game. It's too hard. There's not enough checkpoints. All the instant death mechanics everywhere, and I can't slide in Glue Man stage. Terrible design.
I was the tester for Mega Man Rock'n'Roll that tested the game the least. Like I literally had pretty much no time at that time when that was going on.
You're credited for all the terrible designs that are a result of that. It's all Nico's fault that this is like this.
Yeah, I made a few episodes for Dennis. I said, well, this is weird, this is good, this is bad, and that was my input. And I made the game easier in a lot of spots that I found too difficult. I don't think I made a single spot more difficult. I could be wrong.
No, overall rock and roll, I mean, it didn't really get that difficult until the Wily stages.
Yeah, try telling that to somebody.
I mean, you did discover that you need to make that one small adjustment where I skipped the Proto Man stage because it wasn't very, very clear that it was there.
Yeah, none of us really thought about it because it was just like, I think Dennis told us that that's going to happen, so none of us really thought about it.
Yeah, so I mean, if there was some way that you could make it so that either A, you can't skip it, or you could go back to it afterwards before the final level.
Yeah, and there was a lot of feedback for the first Wily boss that it was too difficult, and making that small adjustment with the weapon I think helped a lot. Because that was a big problem.
Yeah, and maybe a small tutorial on displaying how to deal with the first Wily boss with the... I'm trying to remember.
Ghost trap.
No. I'm talking about the actual Wily machine. The Ghost Trap machine was a little difficult, but after a couple lives, I did figure out how to do that one. I'm talking about the Wily machine where I was just sitting there going, like, what am I doing? Like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm flipping back and forth, the boss just keeps resetting its pattern. Like, that took a while to figure out what was actually going on and how to damage the boss.
Yeah, like, I like final bosses that are hard to figure out.
Well, no, I mean, it would have been nice if you teleported in and, Roll was trying to escape or something like that, and then she, did what you're supposed to do and showcased that, hey, you're supposed to do this. And then she gets trapped again, and then you start the encounter. So you at least had an idea starting the encounter roughly what to do.
Yeah, kind of like like Dennis had that hint for the bulb boss that you trap inside it, and that's how you're supposed to hurt it. But not a lot of people saw that.
That's a perfect example right there too.
Yeah, and you overpowering the bulb with the reactor man's weapon.
Reactor man's weapon,
yeah. Tool, yes.
Well, I mean, the clue that gave that away is the fact that the screen brightened up and brightened up and brightened up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you were messaging me and saying, hey, there's a secret, a secret on the bulb boss. I'm like, I think I see it. Oh, yeah, okay. And I'm like, okay, perfect. I mean, the only catch, though, for me is that you needed to use the full weapon bar, and I didn't have a full weapon bar. so I wasn't able to see it until I got reset the stage and had a full weapon bar.
Yeah, it's an Easter egg also, so that's why.
But it's now also a speedrun tactic.
Yes. I think speedrunners are really enjoying the game. It's pretty much built well for those runs.
Well, that's the whole flow thing that I was talking about. Yeah. As long as you have good flow, and I mean, I'm still like, what was it? The glue shot in Mega Man Unlimited, where it had the ability to basically have you eject through walls and stuff like that. I still kind of agree with Megaphil's thing to patch that out, because that wasn't originally designed that way. But people are like, oh no, it's got to stay in because it's a speedrun trick, so I can skip this. I'm like, again, that wasn't how it was designed. You're basically trying. I mean, it looks fancy and all, but I still would like to see a speedrun keeping in concept or the intended way of playing the game. It's like playing Mega Man 2 and having the Heatman skip, where you go up into the wall and then suddenly zip across the screen. And this is now standard practice for those games.
I think there's 2 versions now on Unlimited. The other one has that glitch and other doesn't. But you don't see speedrunners using the other one.
I much prefer the glitchless runs, where you go through the game without glitching through, things. I'm not more for the speed so much as I'm for going through the stage. Perfect execution. Sort of like what I slowly got into in my runs, where I did the no miss, the no damage, and then I what was it? Around Mega Man 10, I started adding the speed into it. Oh, that's right. I jumped to the Mega Man killers and then back to was it Mega Man 7? I think I started doing that on. No, it was Mega Man 8. I think I started doing that on. I still want to go back to the original games, like start doing the speed runs and the perfect runs combined on the Mega Man 1 to, I guess, 7.
Yeah, the most perfect way to do them. The most, like, you do them so fast there's no more time to save, but you also do them without missing or taking damage.
Yeah, I just got to be,
Tess.
Careful that they don't look... Tess. Well, it's not tool assisted, so it's not task, but
it's Fellon assisted.
Yeah, I mean, I still want to do a run, and it looks impressive. Metal Man stage is one of the perfect example where you can actually get through the chain sections really fast without taking damage. If you jump through the chain while the press is going up, but the timing on it is, I've gotten the timing down for like the first 4. It's just the last one there. It's a little tight, but I mean, I can do it probably about 20% of the time, which is still good enough. The problem really becomes that one gear clown just past the halfway mark, trying to get through that small gap without taking a hit, because it really does feel like he's got a random timer on it, like where he jumps up and down and up and down, and he might go down earlier. But I don't think that's the case. I think it's just the fact that when you jump, little unknown secret, when Mega Man jumps, he moves at 1.5 pixels, and if you're running, you're moving at 1.6. So you're actually moving across the horizontal plane slower if you jump, which is why you always want to be running. It's the fact that the conveyor belts are pushing you back, and you want to be jumping, and you don't want to get move slowly on the conveyor belts, that makes that timing so difficult.
And that's why people watch your YouTube channel. That's like the most Fellon thing you've ever said. Like 1.5 pixel, 1.6.
Well, all the information is there. Just a lot of people don't want to dig up the resources, right? No. They, rather listen to somebody to try to describe it or have nice pictures. Pictures. Yes, nice pictures. Nice pictures. You make it look pretty, sir.
Well, you taught me much in the past, and you've corrected me many times. I just have to respect it.
I mean, a lot of people don't like that correction that I do too. So it's a pro and a con.
Well, they just don't like that. You devoted your time to study something. People don't like that. You're above them.
There are times I'm wrong too. I will admit.
I know.
I make mistakes.
You've been wrong plenty of times.
I mean, joining Snupster was probably my biggest mistake.
We've been doing that for 8 fucking years.
Yeah, I know. But I mean, I love to do a perfect no run, a perfect no miss, no damage, buster only Metal Man stage, and it would look really good. But I mean, if I'm gonna do that, I might as well just do the rest of the game too. Like Crash Man stage, for example, would be. It's a long stage because you move up the ladder so slow.
Yeah, like Elecman stage. Fuck that.
Yeah. But I mean, Heatman stage, I mean, I've practically already done a speed run of that. And you can't get much faster than that without manipulating Heatman's AI. And that's still like the guy that's like, these weird, I want to call it like R hops where he jumps forward a little bit and then jumps back and jump forward back and every half a second. So that if the pattern is it's half a second, 1 second, and 1.5 seconds that Heatman fires forward. I can't remember what the frame count is.
That's okay.
But the point is, like, he's trying to eke out, like, in the end of the boss fight, he's trying to eke out like an extra 2 seconds. And I mean, it looks cool and all, but I mean, it's just unrealistic unless you really, really, really practice that out.
I'd do that for like $500 maybe. I'd try for a day.
Just to try to do the whole R pattern where you land perfectly and just keep going, and then as soon as he jets forward, you can.
I wouldn't do that for free.
And that way, he makes the most minimal movement possible.
Yeah.
I mean, if I really wanted to be, if I really wanted to be that guy, I could just manipulate the RNG so he's always the same time, always the fastest time, and then, kill him that way.
That's the problem with, like, doing challenges nowadays. You never know who's gonna cheat or not. You'll never have any evidence. Unless you do it, like, in front of a live audience. So a lot of people just don't... Like, in case with the no miss challenge, a lot of people I don't think they realize how much real work it is, because they just think, well, he probably cheated, he just edited the video or something.
Well, the funny thing is, when you think about it, do you know about what was it? What game is it, the blocky one? Minecraft. Yes, there was a big debate going on about the Minecraft speedrun cheater that, I mean, they didn't cheat per se.
Hold on, what the fuck? Speedrunning Minecraft? Hold on here.
Yes.
What?
Oh, well, you might want to check this out. So, I'm not... No, don't go now. No, we're still recording.
I'm clicking.
Don't do it.
How do you speedrun Minecraft, you motherfucker? You just lay down blocks and you move them somewhere else.
Well, they created a set of rules for speedrunning where you have to accomplish a certain task and then get to this point and put these objects. I don't know. I'm not a speedrunner for Minecraft.
Hey, that's cute.
But the debate was that the person that was speedrunning the Minecraft had such incredible RNG, like such incredible luck, that it was unrealistic in the sense that there was no way that he got that much good RNG out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That he more than likely manipulated the game so that the RNG was more in his favor, but it was still RNG-ish, that it, still had a component of RNG.
What a smart guy.
So he obviously thought that nobody would notice it, but a lot of people knew the RNG pattern. So let's say I did that whole thing. Let's say I cheated Heatman and made it so that he was always dashing at his fastest time possible. Well, most people are like, oh my god, you're so good. I mean, that was fast. Someone would come along and say, no, that's not possible. You see, the chances of that happening are like 1 in 3 billion.
Yeah, that's the mini Fellon coming out.
And they would have to explain... Well, yeah, and then they would have to explain it and how, you manipulated RNG so that the fastest pattern was always selected, right? If you got a 1 in 3 chance and you've got to hit him, you've got the one shot at the beginning, so that's a given, and then you got to hit him 13 more times, so you would have 1 in 3 times 13, and the chances of getting him to do the short pattern 13 times in a row is a ridiculously high number.
Gonna need a calculator for that.
Don't worry, it's just a ridiculously high number, Nico.
Gonna need a calculator for that.
Don't need to hurt your brain. We're too far gone yet. I know, but the whole point of what I was getting at is that that would obviously, somebody would out me, and it's like, oh yeah, this and that, like. But I mean, how do you think I would feel in the sense if I did that to myself? I would have cheated myself out of the experience.
Yeah, it's who do you do it for, like yourself or others?
Well, that's half the reason that I do the challenges. Is I want to challenge myself. I want to prove to myself. It's myself first and foremost, and then the audience is secondary. Here, watch my journey. On my, experience doing this. So if I were to do that, what's the point? Like, who cares? Oh my God, he's the fastest Heat Man, stage clear with a perfect, with a perfect.
You're already cheating, Jesus Christ.
So it's just like, what am I trying to prove, really?
That's the reason why I added outtakes in the first place to the Case Mega Man thing, because I was like, well, if there's some doubt that somebody will have that, oh, he just cheated. Well, at least I have like 2 hours worth of outtakes. Why would I do outtakes if I was going to cheat?
Yeah, I can see you now. You're like, okay, I'm doing the perfect runs again. Here's my 2 hours of outtakes, and it's just you failing for 2 hours.
Well, I released some of them, like Airman and some others, where it was just outtakes for like an hour.
Yeah, I mean, I go back to, what was it? It was a, I don't want to name the person that put up the video, and I don't want you to name him either. I'm sure some people will remember him. Where I forgot about him. Yeah, well, I don't want to name him. I'll leave it unintended.
Call him Bill.
Bill. What's it, Steve? We'll call him Steve.
Oh, yeah.
And he had a video up, and he got to Airman, and I'm going through and I'm slowing it down. I'm like, okay, so you can see here, he jumps in advance. The air pattern isn't even out yet. And now he's jumping, and now the air pattern's out, and he makes this perfect jump over. Like, and you look through all the other footage of it, and he never jumps like that before. It's just this one pattern. And I'm like, it's impossible because he already knew the pattern was there. Because he's clearly replaying the video back and forth, and he knows that pattern's there. And he's obviously acting, because that's the only way to dodge that air pattern is to actually jump in advance.
Yep.
Right? And I'm like, that's how he outed himself. Right? And, the person defended themselves and said they did legit. I'm like, no, you clearly got caught in a lie.
And then the videos were removed for some reason. If he was, like, sincerely right about it, he would have, like, not deleted the videos.
Yeah. But I mean, because of the way he produced the videos, and it was just the conceited arrogance that he had that really was more the insulting thing that really got under my skin. It's like, oh my God, Mega Man's so easy. Okay, oh, this is great. Oh, look how good I am. Blah blah blah. Mega Man's such an easy game. I don't understand how this is so hard. All these people complaining about this. I'm like, no, you're taking away the actual accomplishments of the people that actually do it, right? Exactly. Because you're trivializing it. You are insulting them and saying that they only play easy games, and that's really what it got down to me is when that person did that, and I'm just like, no, I'm not going to stand by idly and take this shit.
I don't really understand what the point is anyway. What was he gaining for that?
Well, I mean, again, there's I guess he was young at the time, so we'll give him that.
Yeah, sure.
But I mean, the fact that he learned that what there are people out there that will call you on your BS.
There's always people like that, and that's good.
And in a way, I mean, it showcased one other thing that I guess I should explain, and you probably experienced this too, is that even though we were small in comparison to when big YouTubers do this, is if you have a small following of fans And we didn't tell our fans to go to his channel and that kind of stuff, because he started getting massive dislikes and negative comments.
Yeah.
But with bigger YouTubers, when that kind of stuff happens, it happens at such a massive scale.
You're just
it's
fucked.
almost at that point you're just effed. But I mean, he was so small that he managed to get away. Like, nobody's pursuing him in real life. Nobody's doxing him or anything like that. Like, he got away. Like, if he got really, really popular, and had over 100K subscribers, yeah, he'd be in a much bigger problem than
that's
he was
an instant channel death right there.
Yeah, right. But it also showcased to us, because we did it at the time when that kind of stuff was still sort of under the radar, that we saw even the power of just a small channel going after another small channel, of what kind of damage can be done.
It's still under the radar. All the normies runs, people still don't give a shit about those.
Yeah. But I mean, it in a sense, it showcased, at least to me, that, as a YouTuber with a large following, you have a lot more power than you really think you do. And if you do decide to do something like that, just be careful, because you could ruin someone's life. And the problem really comes from the fact that you're being, how should I put it? You're being upset at the situation, and the punishment that you feel is justified in reaction to that that action, the slight that you've been slighted by, is amplified by an army of viewers, right? Let's say you catch somebody, I don't know, being drunk and disorderly and walking down the street and throwing their bottle at a cat, right? That's pretty atrocious. So the cat survived, didn't get hit, the cat just ran away, but you're like, oh my god, that's so cruel. And then you send your army of followers after them, and then all of a sudden they're like, changing their dresses, they're getting a whole new phone number, and it's like, right? And it's just like, okay, you were dumb and stupid, but that punishment is way above and beyond the action that you performed, right? If you have 10 people do it, that should have been enough. But now you got 100,000 people all coming at you, because that's the problem. A lot of people, when they go after, they're performing vengeance, they don't remember that somebody else was before them, and there was somebody else before that person, there was somebody else before that person. So it's just like hitting a nail and just keep hitting it over and over and over and over. And now, before you know it, the nail is well out of the wood. You're just bashing the wood at this point. There's no nail.
And sometimes people are wrong. They are accusing somebody of something they didn't do, such as the pro Jared thing that happened. I was like, maybe we should check this out before we accuse him of anything. And people just attacked him, and I was like, okay, I'll just sit back and watch. And turns out, oops.
Yep. That's a perfect example of you're only getting one side of the story.
In a way, your followers are like sheep. They'll just do whatever you ask, especially if they're young. They don't think about it. They'll just follow their idol till the end, no matter what they say.
Yeah, what was it? There's a famous saying, something about never meet your favorite actors, because you might be disappointed.
Yeah.
Because, what they portray themselves on screen and how they are in real life can be two completely different things. This is why I refuse to meet you in real life. I'm pretty sure you're a dick.
The difference between me having 500 subscribers and almost 5,000 now is I'm also a lot more careful now of what I say. It's gone there.
Yeah,
and now I actually have to think on... I take some things out. Like, I notice later when I edit, I'm like, ooh, better take that out.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing, too, is don't ever lose who you are in the process. Like, once you start getting to a certain point where you have so many subscribers that you're now having to please every single one of your audience members, just make sure you don't offend 1 out of a million people, that's where you start losing who you are.
Yeah. You can still be yourself, but just don't overdo it for views.
Yeah. I mean, you're trying to please everyone, because that's an impossible feat. You can never please 100% of people 100% of the time.
There was a fellow complaining about like my opinions and something like a few days ago on the comments, and he was like, "You're saying things like they're facts," and then I just told them, "Well, maybe this is not a channel for you, and maybe you should keep going," and they agreed. So that's a mutual understanding.
But there's also people that literally follow channels they hate just to hate on every video that gets posted. Like, why do people do that? I don't have the mental capacity to understand that train of thought.
And how do they do it for 3 years straight? I don't know.
I mean, you'd think that I would figure it out by now, considering I follow your channel and I keep downvoting it.
Do you still watch my content?
Yeah, I do on occasion. Yeah, you're just one of many, many, many channels that I watch, and I can't always watch everything you do.
Did you look at the gate video?
I did watch the gate video.
What did you think about that?
I'm surprised you gave some gates, and you're talking about the clicky 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 clicky. Oh, I don't like the sound of that. Just not right. And see this gate. I mean, I am surprised you never pointed out the fact that in Mega Man 2, when you die and come back, the gate is missing.
Holy I didn't know that. I have never seen that.
Oh, well, I guess we're getting to gate video number 2 now.
Oh, and people still keep asking about, like, when are you going to upgrade the weapons video now with Mega Man 11 weapons? There's so many people asking that, and like, I should do that. It's an easy update video to make, and you'll probably get views. I just don't want to do it.
Oh, I mean, it'd be easy if it's just long and tedious. For what? I mean, you could do a standalone video or an addendum.
You're a smart man. Maybe you should run this channel.
I will. Okay, get out. No, get out of that seat. No, is your seat actually glued to your butt?
Like, we should do more stuff together, but the schedules are just a pain. Like,
they are.
Having this set up right now, near impossible. In Canada, did you have the same shows as the US? With like those Zelda cartoons and Mega Man, or like the Captain N, the Game Master, did you have those?
We had most of those shows.
Because we had MTV Kids, and we also had them, like in Finland for some reason. Like, I didn't know Mega Man was the Green Mega Man. I just thought that was some random fellow. Because I was like watching that show.
With the guy with cancer?
Yes, that cancer fellow.
Let's do that!
Yes, him. Man, Captain N was such a fucking weird show. Like Mother Brain, that gave me nightmares. Then they had the... what was the game about the cherub? The Kid Icarus? They had one enemy from that.
Oh, yeah. Wait, there's another one with a monster truck?
Well, Kid Icarus is what I meant. They had the purple enemy.
Oh, the eggplant wizard.
Yeah, and then I think they had one of the fighters from Punch-Out, but they colored him purple.
Yeah, that's King
Hippo. Yeah. What the hell was that show about?
There is actually, if you want to find out, there's a history of Captain N, and it actually describes why the show was not terrible as it was. Is because they couldn't use likeness to the actual characters because it wasn't...
Oh, they didn't get the license?
It wasn't officially endorsed by Nintendo. Or some sort of bullshit like that. Like, Captain N was named Captain N because they couldn't name him Captain Nintendo.
Why did they make it then?
Anyone knows anything for $1.
For $1. That's probably how much they got. Like, even when they used the Castlevania fellow, Simon Belmont, he looked nothing like himself. I mean, we wouldn't know like what he looked like, but certainly not like that.
The only good characters were the ones that were drawn, that were original characters for the show, being Captain N and Princess Lana. And how come you never met the king or queen? Like, if she's the princess and there's currently no king or queen, shouldn't she be the queen?
Now we're analyzing the Captain N fucking show.
I'm just saying, like, there's a lot of flaws with that show, that TV series, so...
That reminds me of Captain N getting caught and dragged into the TV. That also happened in Action 52's Cheetahman. Which, by the way, that video has now gained traction suddenly. The one I made like 2 years ago. Now it's getting views.
It might be someone else's videos probably talking about that, and then they just like Google it or put it in YouTube, and they find your video and they follow it.
It's actually fourth one up the list. Well, it's only 12k views, but it started with 2k. Now it's suddenly up 8k in a few months.
Surprisingly, my most popular video is I think the Quick Man Revenge.
Not too surprisingly.
But surprisingly, my second most popular videos, instead of the perfect runs, for some reason are the Robot Master killers, or the Mega Man killers, like Anchor.
I actually checked your channel like a month ago to see if you've done anything.
I mean, it's one of those cases where, again, real life just gets in the way, and, I mean, you want to do more, and what a lot of people don't realize, unless they've actually created their own videos, is there's a lot of work that goes into editing videos.
Oh yes, and now that I've done new video every 1 to 3 days, I'm kind of fucked. I fucked myself with that, because now I'm like, I'm gonna feel bad if it's been 4 days, and then I just have to edit something.
You've set an expectation to your audience, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But so far, so good, pretty much.
Well, this is why a lot of the big YouTubers have an actual video editing crew to help edit their videos, because there's no way they themselves can produce videos, come up with ideas for videos, edit the videos, get the, audio, purchase, equipment, everything. It's an impossible feat. So you have your favorite YouTuber posting videos every day, and you're like, oh man, they work so hard. No, they're paying someone to help them.
Yeah, he records and then tosses the footage to somebody else, and
they go through it painstakingly. Yep. And that's the problem with the whole, ad revenue thing, where if you're not making enough from ad revenue, then you have to get endorsements and stuff like that.
Sponsors.
And sponsors and everything. And you're like, oh my God, I mean, how much does he make? Oh my God, he makes like $1,000 a video. So if he produces, 10 videos a month, that's $10,000. Oh my God, this guy's making a killing. No, he's got to pay staff members. He might have property that he's using for renting for the actual business. So he might not be making money. He might be losing money. And not to mention, all those values are always estimated values, and they're always before taxes. And
yes,
right. So
then if you sponsor things, well, you no longer have your own word on it. You have to say what they told you to say, and now you're behind a product that you know nothing about.
Yeah, it's like you gotta say like everyone that sponsors the same thing, you just hear them say the exact same script.
This video is sponsored by Shadow Legends.
Yeah. Just go to Shadow Legends, do this, do that.
I play this every day.
Yeah. And you start to really wonder if they believe the words that they're actually saying, which then feeds back into their content as a whole.
I'll take this video down if I ever get sponsors in the future.
I never existed.
My humble goal is to get to 10k subs, and then after that I don't care anymore.
Yeah, I never really had a goal of getting a certain number of subs or anything like that.
Yeah, me neither, but then it just somehow started snowballing.
I also never had an intention to join the Snupsters, so that was a welcome surprise.
I remember you, 4 years ago, you were like, maybe I should stop doing this. You're still here.
Well, what can I say? I'm glutton for punishment.
Well, it's mostly like Snupster at this point. It's mostly for ourselves. It's a fun thing to hang around, and, well, it's just a hobby now.
And shit talk each other, and...
Yes.
Yep. How should I put it?
Okay, glad you're leaving Snupster, got it.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say, I'm glad I found you guys, and glad that I worked out. Even if I am monotone. I mean, that'll be a running gag that never dies.
So have you watched my Darkwing Duck runs?
I have, actually.
Have you been laughing at my awful skill?
I'm just and you watch my videos and you still don't know how to kill the guys with the...
No, I've watched them, but it's been 6 years since I watched them. I don't remember.
But I mean, it's funny because you did the what, episode 2 is the most recent one now?
I think so. I don't remember anymore.
I know, because you're busy editing. You might be on episode 4, and episode 3 is ready to go up on the uploader. Yeah. But
that's the only way I can do this anymore. Just record 10 episodes like once a month, then just edit them in like 2 days, and then just schedule them. Done. And then I love when people come in the comments and they're like, "Hey, if you on the next episode, if you could do this, there's a secret up there." And I'm like, "This has been recorded 4 weeks ago."
Like, the game's done. I've already beaten. I'm not going back, right? But I mean, that is one of the side effects of having that sort of schedule, is that you're oftentimes ahead of what the comment sections are going to talk about.
Yes. The Mega Man Maker thing is probably the one that's like most recent. Like, if you see one of those, it's probably not even a week old. At least there's that. People still watch that for some fucking reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess a lot of people have made levels, and they're hoping that you will stumble upon their level and give your opinion on it. I mean, yes. I think you still shit scored my level.
You should make one.
I did make one.
You made one?
Yeah, you played through it.
You used another name?
No, it's Fellon 250.
I have not played your level.
You have, and it's on your channel.
Oh, you mean like before the competition happened?
Yeah, well, no, I didn't do a competition.
No. I was like, what the fuck? I don't have this bad memory. You would be first place. Probably.
I've actually designed a bunch of levels since then, but I never got to finishing them. Because...
Well, now's the time.
I just don't know. I mean, I should go back and submit them.
I mean, there are people who are surprisingly talented at that. Like, the same people submit good levels, like one after another. It's just something, like, some people just know how to do it.
Yeah, but even the guys that make good levels make terrible levels every now and then, so... Or levels that just, like... I mean, it's sort of like... What was I going to say? It's like that Mega Man versus Street Fighter game where you could see which levels were the first ones the guy designed, and then near the end you could tell which ones were the ones designed at the end. And it's like this, like Blanca's stage was one of the worst designed levels, and obviously that's one of the first stages he designed. And then near the end it was like Ryu's stage, I think, was one of the ones near the end. So you could see like a difference in quality from beginning to end.
And Capcom chose that? Thanks.
Well, I mean, the concept, the idea was definitely there, and I think it was a small subdivision of the Capcom team that got the okay, the green light to actually do it. So I won't discredit the game. I just what's the thing I'm looking? It's really just the fact that the
word you're looking for is bullshit.
There should have been someone else involved in the designing of the Street Fighters.
The whole game.
No. I think parts of it were really good. Some of it was terrible.
I mean, if they fixed like the controls and the movement and stuff, that would have already been a lot better.
Yeah.
But then there's like glaring mistakes in the stage design, which, well, you just have to know how to make a game.
Well, it's like having running through a stage and finding the E-tank stuck in a wall, and you're like, what's happened? Like there's obviously errant code somewhere.
Like, some people just keep making games. Like, there's some, like the Hard Hat series, which I did. 4 games in a row that are like almost exactly the same, instead of making one good game.
You know, the funny thing about the Hard Hat series is I actually I stumbled upon Hard Hat 3 and played it, and I was actually quite impressed with it, because at the time there wasn't a whole lot of fan-made Mega Man type games.
Yeah, you can excuse those for that, but a lot of people like still make fan games like today and just do the same mistakes. But yeah, Hard Hat's games were one of the first ones, and well, then you run into the argument that, well, Mega Man was made in like 87 and 89, like Mega Man 1 and 2, and then these Hard Hat games were made in like 2002 or something. Well, obviously it should be better, but you have different tools.
It's also the fact that there was a lull in Mega Man, so if you were trying to find something new with Mega Man, the fan games was the only place to find them.
Well, still almost is, even with Mega Man 11.
Yeah, there is 2 Mega Man things that you can try out that are actually, if you want, you can take my recommendation and try them out.
Okay.
There is a Mega Man versus Metroid, and a Mega Man versus what is it? Ghouls and Ghosts. These are flash games. These are flash games, so you might have to get the emulator out and the Joy to key. But I'll be honest, they are extremely well designed.
Oh, okay. I'll take your word for it if you say so. I was also recommended Mega Man Ram. I don't know what that is. I have to check that out.
I have no idea what that one is. But they are 2 games that actually, or I wouldn't say games. They're just single stages, and they are 2.
What?
Yeah, it's just Mega Man goes through the Metroid world, and Mega Man goes through the Ghouls and Ghosts world.
So I should do those in one episode.
You could do them both in one episode, because I don't think he's done any other. I believe I found them originally on Newgrounds, I believe is where I found them. if anybody remembers Newgrounds.
This reminds me of the beginning of when I started Nico Evaluates and found all the really bad games. Now it's all coming back now.
We installed this light switch so you could turn the light switch on and off, not so you could throw light switch raves.
I have an idea. What if you try to make a Robot Master based on binary and you somehow implement that in the game? That would be a hit. Then you just have to figure out the binary meaning of life while you battle the Robot Master. I think that would be great.
It sounds like somebody's already done it.
And then you should put Lolo and Lala in the sky for some reason.
I was thinking of a Robot Master where you had to solve math questions. And he had a shield up, and it wasn't until you solved the math question that you could do damage to him.
Yeah, 1 + 1 is 11. Bam, that's damage. Yep. Now that's just frustrating, which reminds me of if you had any frustrating bad NES games as a kid, which you still played for some reason.
I'm trying to think of some that I might want to go back and try.
People talked so much about it's actually Chi-Kill, according to the original author, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, that I had to go and try it. And then ended up making the new category for the speedrun thing, the good ending speedrun category for it. But I never went back to it. But results from that are that I can now beat the game, which is, I was going to say fun, but it's probably something you can do instead of looking at the wall.
It's not a fun game in the sense that it's engaging.
It's kind of fun to understand how it works. I guess that's the better way to put it.
Perhaps. I'm still impressed by your attempt, or not attempt, because you succeeded. Your endurance through Battletoads. That was. Yeah. But I mean, you did have the advantage of using save states to learn certain sections and then go at it from beginning to end.
Yeah, first I can't even imagine without save states on practice runs, because then you would have to go back to the really beginning every single time you try to learn something.
Yep. I mean, after a while, Battletoads was one of those games where even if you could master it, you still had a chance to make a mistake.
Yeah, we talked about it with Sargon, we should probably do Battletoads where I go through the game, but I'm like, can I still do it? I might be able to make it 80% through and then probably game over.
I mean, you did Batman for the original NES, and I thought that was a really hard game back in the day, and it still probably is.
It is pretty hard.
But some people actually think that game is easier than Mega Man. People
depends how much you play a game.
People still think Mega Man's the hardest game series in the actual NES library, and it's not.
It's because a lot of people say that it is, then it must be. I'll just think what other people think.
Yeah, and they just give up, and they're like, yeah, the game was too hard. No, some people just have memories where they, kept getting stuck, and they're like, I quit, I give up. And they gave up, and they never came back to it. And
yeah, you were like fucking 6, of course. Of course I got stuck.
I mean, I remember getting to Yellow Devil in Mega Man 1 and being like, oh my god, this is the hardest boss ever. And now it's just like, we can do perfect runs on the guy. He's not the hardest boss.
I was about 7 when I had Mega Man 1, and I could get to the Cubby Robot, but that was my limit. I never got past it until I was like a teenager. I just couldn't do it. But it was fun, actually, like being a kid and not being able to beat a game, because then you knew you had adventures to come by. You didn't know what the ending was like, so you kept on trying.
Yep.
Like I talked about before, the Mataraya scaring me. That was something. Still PTSD from that.
Yeah, you still have.
I'm scared of butterflies.
It's an interesting phobia for sure.
They grow teeth at night. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
So if you see like a sweeping down butterfly at night, fucking duck. That motherfucker's gonna kill you.
Well, they probably carry some sort of pathogen that might kill you in like 2 weeks' time.
Did you see the Make Rockman one?
Probably not. Which one's that?
Let me show you.
What the?
So Capcom, I guess, like, if you look at the animation and everything, that what they're showing is clear. It's not.
It's not the original game. No.
No, clearly,
it's a custom game engine just for this controller,
which looks like garbage. So far,
because you can. Well, it's also because you can see the control stick has delays.
Yep.
So the game has to be made easier to account for the delay. It's sort of akin to... It's almost like playing that Mega Man on the tablet thing, where it had to be made so easy that you could play it on a tablet, but if you get in on a PC, it's like really, really, really easy.
I never understood how can some people play games on like a phone or something with like no tactile buttons. Their fingers are obstructing the screen and they're pressing like the screen. How does it work?
I don't know, but this might also be a case of we're used to it one style. It's like first-person shooters for me. I was playing on PC long before consoles started adopting the style.
Yep.
And people are like talking about GoldenEye and 007 and how it's the greatest game ever. I'm like, I can't play this. It's like, well, it's easy. It's easy. I'm like, no, I play on a keyboard and mouse. Like, this is so inferior to that style.
Yeah, try having analog controls for like a shooting game.
The funny thing is, my brother was always going on about how if he had a joystick or a game stick, gamepad, he could kick my ass in a first-person shooter if we were on the same server, right? If you could play the game on the same thing. And that actually got put to the test, and needless to say, the people with the controllers got their asses handed to them left, right, and center.
There's no matching the movement speed of a mouse.
The mouse and keyboard, it's quick reflex time. Like, you got to slowly line up the controller and aim. Like, no, you're going to lose every single time. So why would I want to play with inferior controls after I played with superior? But if you've never played with superior controls, then you think it's the greatest thing.
Of course. So I don't know what the deal is with the Make Rockman thing. Has 1,000 views. Nobody's really said anything about it. Maybe Capcom realized they've already done a Mega Maker. We can't do that. Let's make something idiotic. So it's made for education. Like, you're supposed to learn how to code with it. I don't see how that's... Like, you code the game yourself and then somehow attach the controller to it.
Well, that's what it says in the description. It says, Make Rockman, the world's greatest programming. It's an education coding tool coming soon from Capcom and Artec. You can create and program your very own Mega Man levels using Scratch.
The hell is that?
I'm guessing it's the programming language. The comments are turned off, and it has 2 dislikes to 61 likes.
Oh, you just select the snippet of code, I suppose. You don't have to like do everything from scratch, as they would say.
Yeah.
It's probably for kids, like, those teaching tools for kids to make them learn coding. There's apps like that.
Well, coding's gotten a lot simpler over the years, such that, I mean, if you really, how should I put it? Coding, if you can code in assembly, which is pretty much the raw code of the machine, You can do a whole lot more with the game, or more refined. Like, I'm using like a lot. You can make the program much more efficient by programming in assembly than you can through a third-party language, because the third-party language, you never know how the code's going to end up when it gets compiled into actual code. It might be inefficient, and you might have to go back in and edit it manually. But a lot of people don't know how to code in assembly, which is essentially machine code. So they just write the what if and if greater than, minus than, all the standard code that goes into a program and then gets compiled into machine code, because that's how that works. And then you get a program that works, and you're like, okay, great, did this job, ship it. But I've seen some people that can code in machine code and have a much faster, more efficient, more clean running engine than somebody that has coded strictly in like a C++ or whatnot.
I made a few games in computer science classes because we had to, and my code consisted of if this then that, if this then that, and well, it's a mess. I made a Pac-Man game, and I made one of those snake games.
Yeah,
that's all it needed. If this then that.
But I mean, I think we can all agree we've seen games that shouldn't perform the way they perform. Like, you shouldn't need, like 16 processors and 128 gigs to run Mega Man 1 for the NES. No. Right? They're so inefficient that they get to a certain point, they're like, yeah, it works, whatever, okay, ship it, and they just move on to the next game.
Well, that's the problem I have with Mega Man Maker. That's actually the issue. That game has more lag than any... Well, like nothing else has lag on my PC. Mega Man Maker is the only thing that lags on this computer, and the previous one I had. It's just not designed well. Like, why the fuck does it lag? There's no reason for it.
Well, I mean, it's just not coded efficiently. That's what it boils down to.
It's intended. Come on.
And then you have somebody going around, okay, well, I want to add this feature, and I need to add this feature, and I need to add this feature. They never get back to fixing that. Or it's so far down the priority list that it's, I mean, by the time they finish, doing all the features they want, they never get back to it. And then it's just left in limbo in that state. What the guy has done is amazing, because, I mean, you got Mario Maker, but Capcom hasn't made their own Capcom Mega Man Maker. So in that respect, what he's done is great. I would still love it so that you can select the screen aspect of like Mega Man 1 or Mega Man 2 or Mega Man 3, because they had different screen aspect ratios or tiling.
They were like smaller, right? I think.
Yeah, and if you could go, I want it to be Mega Man 2 tiles, or not like the tiles as in like the assets themselves, but in terms of the grid arrangement, how much screen real estate Mega Man occupies, and all that kind of stuff. Because I've tried to recreate some of the stages using the same block layout and everything like that, and it's just not possible, because they're like missing like 2 columns to the right, or they're I can't remember what it was, but it's not a 1-to-1 ratio.
There was some kind of reason for that, but I forgot what it was. But that has been talked about before. There was a reason they didn't like that.
I mean, it's funny, because I was explaining to you how when you fall down pits, when you screen transition, where the screen locks, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
One of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that in a Mega Man game, it always looks at the, like, how should I put it?
One screen is one screen. There's no other screens beside it, so they don't exist.
No, it also has to do with the scrolling. Like, if you were to go to the edge of a screen, like, say, Bulbaman's stage, and you go right to the end, and you're going down that little thing, if the screen can move just 1 pixel to the left, and you go down that, you would just die.
Yep.
Because
there's nothing there.
It would be treated, no, because it would be treated like a pit. It's only because you're at the edge of the screen has essentially locked in that exact pixel configuration that it goes, oh, this must be a screen transition, and then it moves the screen down, and then you get pushed to the top and you fall into the next screen.
Yes, so there's nothing there.
Yeah, there's actually nothing there. So everything is a pit until you get an exact screen alignment.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same with Super Mario Brothers. Like, there are no two warp zones on the same one screen.
The part of it, like Chargeman, at the end, where they had that weird screen transition, you can actually drop on top of the hallway instead of like dropping down normally. That's where they messed it up once.
I've never. I mean, I did it once. Ultima did it on live recording.
Yep.
And we never did figure out exactly what you needed to do to actually cause that.
Maybe I should go back and check that out. Make a video about it then.
But that's a lot of the problems that were technical. But when you have someone design a Mega Man stage, and they want to do like, oh, put the pit down here in the middle of the run, like you're going through that long stretch, and in the middle of that long stretch that's nothing but left to right, you want to put a secret passage in the middle and have them go down it. Well, it just wasn't possible in the original Mega Man game because you had to be locked in an exact
the Dive Man secret.
Yeah, because you couldn't transit. If you fall down that pit, you can't move the screen any further to the right.
Yeah, you'll die.
That's why the pit was pushed as far left as it could be put. Because if it was pushed right anymore, you run the risk of actually scrolling the screen right and then...
Yeah, the screen has to be still when you go down.
Correct, exactly. And so you got a lot of people in the Mega Man makers designing stages that technically should not be possible in the original game engine.
Yes.
I mean, this started from the whole this weird Lego contraption that you were talking about.
Yeah, seems like nobody gives a shit and nobody will.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the intended design of whatever this is using something that doesn't have any practical sense and sort of giving it a spin to entice people to, learn from it.
Oh, kind of like Nintendo releasing cardboard boxes to everyone.
Again, if you're looking at it from a fan of the series and looking at this and you're like, what the fuck is this? That's the wrong intention. Like, that's not what it was designed for. It's just using Mega Man as a way to get you interested in the device, not look at this device and see how you can play Mega Man with it.
It's funny to look at things and then not understand them. It's probably going to release in China or something and nowhere else. It's probably all up in Nico video or whatever the hell that is called. What do you think about stores in a Mega Man game? Mega Man 1 store, put the store in there, get all the points to use, buy 19 E-Tanks, clear the game with ease.
I haven't really been a fan of stores per se.
Thank you.
I mean, it's nice not to have to run through Skullman's stage 5 times to restock on E-Tanks.
You shouldn't have to do that anyway.
Well, if you just put a currency in, it just drops, and you don't get anything for it, but it adds up, and then at the end of the game, you're like, oh, I better stock up on E-Tanks. It is a nice time saver, but then you
don't learn the game that way.
No, it's not that. You make the expectation now that that's required to beat the game.
Yes. You have such a weird way at looking at things.
Well, it all has to do with the path of least resistance. Humans will always follow the path of least resistance. So if you have the option to collect 9 E-Tanks and you just have to go through a stage and find a farming thing where you can find tons of bolts,
you'll do it.
You'll do it. People will always do it. So you have to ask yourself as a designer, as a programmer, who are you designing this for, right?
Yes, and Rock and Roll was designed for hardcore Mega Man fans. Had 3 E-Tanks max, and people even got mad about that. Well, it's not designed for people who don't know what Mega Man is. It was designed for veterans.
Well, you could probably stuck with the 4 max because that was the pattern of the Gameboy games.
Mm-hmm.
That would have made more, would have stayed consistent with the Mega Man genre, because even Mega Man 2 had a 4 cap. Yeah, well, I'm not disagreeing with. I mean, Mega Man 2 was the first game to introduce them. It had 4 cap. Mega Man 3 had 9 cap, and then Mega Man up
4
until...
has 9 cap.
Yeah. So 9 definitely seems excessive. If you should have had a cap, it probably should have been like 2 at max originally. But then that means the stages would have to be more rewarding of E-tanks. Because, you just consume your 2 E-tanks on this one stage, and now you're going into another stage, and you're like, oh, I got to get, I think the idea was that you give you a maximum of 4 E-tanks, and you're trying to get through the biggest stretch. The biggest problem, of course, in Mega Man 2 is you game over, you lost them all, and now you're worse off for it.
Well, having an E-tank in the first place is kind of like saying, I don't want to learn this, or, okay, I sucked, let me just use this. Okay, everything's good again.
Well, I mean, E-tanks are superior to extra lives because of the fact that, the whatever damage you put onto the boss is still there. If you get an extra life, you have to start over from the beginning again.
And I don't understand, like, especially on the Mega Man Maker stages, some people make, they put up the big energies every fucking where. Every, 2 screens, there's a big energy. Like, what does the stage even matter then? If you're gonna just give me full health, every 2 screens. There's no challenge. I can just run through everything.
Well, I also don't like stages where they don't give you anything.
That's the other,
right?
Find the balance.
So, find the balance. Go through, what you should be doing is go through the stage yourself, or challenge somebody. Challenge a friend who's, not very good at Mega Man. Have them go through the stage, and you're like, oh, that seems really, really hard for that person. Okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. If you get past this section, I'm going to reward you a big energy after this. I mean, the idea is, how many times you've gone through a Mega Man game, you're like, I've just got through this section. Look, there's a big energy there. This whole section was easy. Why would I need that? This makes no sense.
Yeah, now we just pretty much, people like us, we just skip the energies now. They're just in the way. So it depends how good you are.
Or if it's Mega Man 1, they're like, no, I don't want to hit... I'm like, I was already at full health. Why does the game stutter and I have to, pause to charge my health?
I love those Wily 2 energies on the ledge. You grab them and you just walk off the ledge because it can't stop the animation.
Yeah, my fear oftentimes is with the energy balancer when you're jumping across a pit and you kill an enemy. It's like, and you go right down the pit and you're like, it killed my momentum because I released the jump button too soon.
You should have waited.
Well, sometimes you have to. If you got full weapon energy, you don't have to worry because there's no way that the game's going to stutter you.
You should have waited.
Sort of the funny thing about certain stages, they become easier if you're full health just from the fact that if you jump across a pit and the enemy you kill drops energy while you're jumping and it causes you to stutter and then you fall down the pit.
Especially with a shield weapon. You have a star crash on and you jump with it.
Yeah. So, in cases like that, the programmer should have gone, okay, that's a mild inconvenience. Okay, we'll make the enemies not drop power-ups. And there are certain enemies that just will not drop power-ups at all, period.
That's smart. Yeah, the enemies in Brightman stage don't do that.
Yeah, and that's by design. That's why don't they drop any power-ups? Well, just in case you're going through this section, at the end of the stage, a Brightman stage, where you hit it and you jump across and you get a power-up and then you stutter and you fall into a pit. That's the exact reason why they don't drop power-ups.
So Mega Man 4 is even a better game than we thought.
It probably is. Maybe you want to...
better every day.
You might want to actually go through the games real quick and see which games actually had that much thought put into it.
That's a lot of work.
You could go and look at the Snowman section, right? That one part where you go scroll the screen to the right and then you scroll back to the left and go, why do they even have this in here? Oh, wait, that's right. If you jump on this platform, it goes up and then falls in the pit. There's no way to scroll that back onto the screen. So they created this wall here that you could go back and forth and scroll this particular platform back on with, right? That's smart design.
Yeah, let's make a bad platform and you can scroll it back on screen. That'll fix it.
Yep. But, at the same time, the enemy placement being right there forces you to panic and turn the screen. So that's poor design combined with good design.
Double-edged sword.
Double-edged sword. But you're like, why is this here? What they should have done, just not had those enemies right there. Or or put an enemy at the very far right-hand side of the screen so that it gave you a chance to look at the situation, see what they're trying to ask of you, and then give you the option to back out and then restart it and start from the beginning. It's like those puzzle games where you're like, oh shit, I've put myself into a corner, and you're like, okay, let's start this from the beginning, and you just had this like reset button that restarts the puzzle, but it doesn't send you to the back to stage 1. Oh, yeah, we're on stage 30, but you fucked up. Okay, go back all the way to stage 1. Do it all over again. Like,
that's a great feeling. You know what I was thinking about? You should make the Gameboy lists for me. Yes, I said for me.
For you? Okay, yeah. So...
you just make the lists and upload them to my channel, because people want the Gameboy lists. I feel like not doing them.
What list, though?
Like best robot masters, best stages, best mini-bosses, best weapons.
Okay, so we're just doing the Game Boy games. So that's Mega Man 1,
Mega Man V and nothing
3, 1, 3, 4, and 5.
I don't think there's a game missing.
No, I'm pretty sure there's nothing missing from that. I'm pretty sure I got them all.
That was one of like the best videos ever on the channel, the Mega Man 2 Game Boy one we did. It has a lot of views. Yeah.
I'm surprised.
It's about 5,000 views, which is ridiculous.
That's still better than
Eternal.
The one. I mean that's probably more views than the number of downloads that's had. Yeah, you like those old GeoCities accounts. Like, this site has been visited this many times.
GeoCities.
There's GeoCities and
Tripod.
That's it, Tripod. Yeah, it was like usually what you would have is you'd have a school try to teach kids how to make their own websites. So they're like, okay, we're going to GeoCities, we're going to create an account, and as your school project, you're going to make your own website.
Yes, and it was just like, welcome to the Goose site, and it had all the other things, just like templates. Here's our shop, 101 Berkeley Road.
Yeah.
Contact me now. Fuck you at gmail.com. Except Gmail didn't exist. I remember a time when you had to sign up for, like, to get a Gmail address. You needed an invitation to get it. That's how I got mine.
That's actually how I got mine as well. You know, I have an annoying thing with my Gmail address, and I'm not sure I want to say it here, but I'll say it anyways. I'll probably get screwed as a result of this. But there is actually somebody out there that actually legitimately thinks they have my email address, and they are using it to sign up for things. So all of a sudden I get these emails, welcome to this, press this number, or here's the code, or here's your recovery thing. Okay. I mean, there was a Facebook using my email address as the recovery address, and and I kid you not, what I did is I literally logged in, I went into recovery, I got the code, I went into the Facebook account, and I posted, it says, the owner of this account does not know their correct email address. Please pass this on. And then I logged out. And they're like, oh my god, I've been hacked. No, you're just using the wrong email address. Please stop having, every time somebody posts a little picture, it says, look at my beautiful daughter. I'm getting the emails saying, there's a post on Facebook.
Of course, they would say that they got hacked. It's never your own fault.
So it gets frustrating because like most of those automated subscription services don't have a way to click a link that says, hey, the person who created this account is a dumbass and doesn't know their email address. Maybe
you should make a new one. Definitely the real Fellon 209, whatever it is.
Well, funny thing is, I mean, the Fellon 250 thing, obviously, I prefer to have it without the numbers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I tried to change it, but I can't. Because it required a first name and a last name. And I think this was in relation to the whole... Oh, what was it? The years ago that had the Google personal identification. Google Plus, yeah, that's it, yeah. And so I couldn't have it, be, like two separate things or just one.
First name Phil, second name On.
Yep. So Fellon. It sounds like a character from Street Fighter. Yeah, it is a character from Street Fighter. Well, it's Fellon. You have tortured me for a long time now.
Good. The Gameboy list. Chop chop.
Okay, I'm on it right now.
And if I see Uranus on first place...
What are you talking about? Uranus is the best.
Risting pepperonis, Pluto.
Poor Pluto. I mean, used to be a planet. And now it's just a rock in space. I still keep it as a planet because that's how I was raised through school, learning that it was a planet. And now it's just a rock in space. It's no different than a moon.
It was named after the Pluto from Mickey Mouse.
I don't think you're correct on that.
Well, let's go check as the last thing.
Next, you're going to tell me there's a planet out there named Mickey.
Pluto in cartoons was 37.
I can tell you that Pluto, the name of the planet, was long before the Disney creation.
How much?
We're talking like BC.
7 years before it was named than the cartoon. So there's a 7-year gap.
I'm pretty sure there was a bigger gap than that. The stars and constellations and all that stuff were named in society due to, I believe, Romans, or I can't remember where it is. I mean, I have to look up the facts. But
okay, look at this.
Oh my god!
Discovery date.
No. That's a discovery state. A discovery date of the actual rock in space.
What are you talking about then?
The name Pluto exists before...
No, God, that's not what I meant. I meant when the planet was named.
Oh, well, in that case, then...
Jeez, you'll be good.
I much prefer his designation as 134340.
I was like, there's no way I'm wrong this time. There's no fucking way. But you were just thinking about a different thing. Nobody was wrong.
Well, I love you being wrong. I mean, it's the greatest joy in my life.
In any case, as a punishment, you have to give me your best autograph in paint for the show.
Autograph in paint?
Haven't you seen? Lord. You haven't seen the other podcasts? You're fired.
Nope.
Okay. I'll just cut this. I'll cut this now.